Wait, is that it? Hold on. We're not going to mention why he invented the filament? To create a better standard of living for people who had only just been freed from slavery? Are we going to ask why kids are apparently learning about Thomas Edison and not learning about Lewis Latimer? These textbooks are incomplete. There were black Roman warriors, black medieval knights, black classical musicians, black cowboys, black fighter pilots. Where are they? You rely on these stories to know your own history. Thanks to systemic racism, most of your storytellers prioritize white accomplishments, which leaves you with an incomplete picture. Ask yourself as you're learning history, who's telling the story? Was this modified to make white readers comfortable? Are major details being left out that would credit people of color and center their point of view?
They fought over what kind of music the strings would play. The elders realized there was but one solution. Each tribe would take a string and go their separate ways.
Now, Barb's announcement makes sense. She wants to reunite the strings so the troll world can be one big party again.
Wait, that's all you heard? One big party?
Yeah, it's when all the trolls lived in harmony. And what's more important than living in harmony?
Well, I heard fighting. The strings together leads to fighting.
If we combine our music, she'll see that music unites all trolls and that we're all the same and that she's one of us.
Poppy, I mean no disrespect, but king to queen, anything but that.
See, long ago, our world was without song or dance. Then the trolls found the strings, and life was one big party.
Oh yeah, I've heard this story before.
That is, until the pop trolls tried to steal our strings.
Steal your strings? That's not what it said in our scrapbooks.
Scrapbooks? Those are cut out, glued, and glittered by the winners. Let me tell you how it really went down.
As you all know, I am mixed. I think that that's very important for who I am. My experiences, what I've learned, things like that, those things are important and people can't take that away from me. At the end of the day, they can't. And for me growing up, and even now, representation matters. Metaphors matter. But in media, you gotta be really careful on how you handle representation and also metaphors for things such as racism and things like that. You have to be really careful to make it work. And for me, I think that people of color very much need to speak about that, especially if it's in family-friendly media. So, as you guys know, I've been in the Trolls fandom since 2016, so I've been around the ballpark since the franchise began, and the thing that kind of persists from 2016 and onward is DreamWorks Trolls is cringe. And that narrative has been very toxic for years. It's nothing more than putting people down or putting the people down who worked on it. It's nothing more than just bullying. I'm just going to call it as it is. It's just bullying. I don't care how you phrase it. I don't care how you joke about it. It is what it is. And this thing is far too common. It's happened way before Trolls even came out. It's been a behavior from reviewers and cartoon reviewers. It's been a thing that has been persisting. And because of that, I literally made a video pretty much saying, you know, if you want to be the next person who wants to make a Trolls is bad and do all the cringe stuff that's toxic, I hate to break it to you, but you pretty much, all you're doing is being a baby who keeps spilling milk. And that milk that keeps on spilling, like the baby's not jazzing how they spill the milk is slowly but surely souring. The Trolls fandom should stop being reactionary because that milk is just going to keep souring and the baby's just going to keep spilling it. Trolls fandom just go into another room and they just let that milk sour. And I hate to say that. I really do. As a content creator, I hate to say that because if someone wants to make a different perspective video that says DreamWorks Trolls is bad, I feel bad for them because I don't know if they're going to get a pretty fair chance with that title going forward or something along those lines, because DreamWorks Trolls being cringe is the most deadest horse ever. And it's getting tiring. And that's why I literally made a video saying, Trolls fandom, just ignore it. And I really wish I could kind of say that with Trolls World Tour. Trolls is kind of just the first Trolls movie. It's like, yeah, it's soured milk. Trolls World Tour, same thing, but it gets messy when you get into Cooper, the history of the strings, that stuff. It gets really, really messy. And Doug Walker kind of presented what happens when that messiness of Trolls World Tour and presenting DreamWorks Trolls as cringe, it presents a lot of problems.
It's only the third act where I kind of didn't really get into it because it's trying to be about something, it's trying to be dramatic, and it's not very good at it. It's very forced, it's very odd, but when it's just a dumb little movie for kids, I thought I had enough imagination and weird worlds and color in it to be fine for little kids. And I'm very on the fence about it because on the one hand, it's just kind of doing its normal stupid Trolls thing where they make these, really dumb jokes, but it's like they're like Happy Meal jokes, but it's for the Happy Meal audience, It's like, well, of course these are kind of the jokes they make. And like I always say, there's just because a movie's for little kids doesn't mean you can't really throw in a lot of stuff for adults or stuff that's gonna help them, mature and stuff. Miyazaki does a lot of stuff for little kids, but is also very much for adults. Like, look at Kiki's Delivery Service and stuff. So you have this movie, it starts off mainly doing that, but then it tries to be about something again. It tries to be really deep, and it tries to be, like, life-changing, and hey, if only we can see the world like this, like one of those movies. But what's so frustrating about it is that it's almost really good at it. And what I mean by almost is that it has this idea of, it's doing what I feel like every kid's movie that wants to say something is doing right now, where we're all the same, we shouldn't judge, we should get rid of prejudice, and I just feel like they're all doing this, and not many are doing it well. Like Zootopia did it well, but it's mainly, hey, all those people are bad. No, they're not. You're looking at it from this point of view, and you have to show, that. But this one is actually kind of clever, and they talk about living in harmony. Literal harmony, and harmony is different voices to create one great sound. It's like, that's really fucking clever. It's like, I'm listening to this like, man, there's something here. It pisses me off that it's in Trolls, because this is actually a really good idea, but then you have just these dumb jokes.
You know how I said I made a video saying ignore what, the whole cringe narrative? I was originally going to do that when Shea Fearless Productions said they were going to make a DreamWorks ranking video, and thanks to him editing a scene, and I forgot which video it was a long time ago, but he pretty much said how DreamWorks isn't the same as it used to, doesn't make the same movies as it used to, blah, 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 things like that. He threw in a clip of Trolls World Tour in there, and I pretty much knew his thoughts clear as day of what Trolls was going to be, and watching Shea Fearless Productions videos, I kind of know how he acts, and I was like, yeah, I'm not putting myself through that at all whatsoever, because that's right, I've heard the story over and over again. Gee, it's swell to finally meet her other friends. I was like, yeah, I'm skipping it. Then I saw his Twitter post, and I was like, I could handle the Trolls as cringe, let me poke fun at someone.
If Turbo was a terrible movie intended for babies, Trolls is a really good movie intended for babies.
Honestly, by this point, people in Trolls reviews making fun of people who actually enjoy DreamWorks Trolls is practically predictable. So predictable, it's pretty much a bingo sheet or a non-alcoholic drinking game by this point. But when I saw the tweet, I was like, oh God, please, Shay, whatever you do, please, for the love of God, please do not make the same exact mistake Doug Walker did in his Trolls World Tour review, because things are going to get pretty nasty.
Troll World Tour is a movie with trolls. They make music and they do troll stuff. Okay. Look, this movie sounds like it has a good plot on paper. It tackles revisionist history and racism and stuff. No, it doesn't. It briefly pays lip service to these topics before bombarding you with
Gangnam Style.
It is about as deep as a glitter-filled puddle. I don't understand this movie. Like, why doesn't the sexy Sam Rockwell troll capture Poppy immediately? How did Poppy's gumdrop earplugs block out the power of a magic guitar? It's a magic guitar. It should work on you even if you don't hear the music. It's a magic guitar. Why doesn't Poppy just call their friends the Blurgons from the last movie? Have them step on the rock troll. Mission accomplished. Why, out of all the friends that could have come with Poppy and Justin Timberlake on this journey, why did it have to be the James Corden troll? I hate James Corden. So these are like K-pop trolls? Is there a Troll Korea? What's going on? The plot of this movie is just Infinity War, where there's 6 thingies a villain needs to put on a thing. But also Poppy tries to befriend a villain against her father's wishes, like How to Train Your Dragon 2. But then bounty hunters trap people using music, like in Shrek Forever After. It's not plagiarism if you steal from yourself, kids. I guess the rock troll was okay. The music was okay sometimes. I don't know. Hey, wait a minute. I don't need to talk about this movie. This is a ranking of the theatrical DreamWorks releases. And Trolls World Tour isn't a theatrical release. Is it? Haha! Nobody's smart but me!
When I saw this, I was very disappointed in Schaeferless Productions. I expect this Tom Holland foolery from Doug Walker. Like, I expect this not so bright idea from someone like Doug, but from Schaeferless Productions, I didn't think he was going to pull a Doug Walker when doing this, but it's not just Doug and Schaeferless who do this. Other people have done this before, but you saw how long that segment of Shay was. I didn't cut any of that. For Doug, I had to cut most of that, but with Shay, I let that whole thing play out. He had that whole entire time to talk about the quote-unquote racism lip service. He had time to talk about it, but he didn't. And one thing that infuriates me as a person of color, Schaeferless is white. And the thing that really kind of grinds my gears about this Trolls World Tour segment, and in fact the whole video, Schaeferless has many different people who edit for him, and I have to kind of question how many people of color are editors for him, because someone had to tell him that he kind of needed someone right beside him who is a person of color to say whether or not Shay was correct on that, or they had a different perspective. Like, that, for me, because this happens far too often with movie critics just like Doug, but it happens a lot in the animation review community. where a white person will say, this is bad, but they don't really have the exact room to fully speak on the matter. Now, I will say this, they should speak about it, but on the other hand, they need another perspective to talk about that. Because Shay just said, it was bad, and then moved on to the cliche, trolls cringe, blah, blah, blah. And someone like Shay Frills Productions, who takes a long time with videos to make sure it's to the highest quality, you're telling me he couldn't have made the troll segment longer to speak about that subject matter? Like, are you joking me? Like, and I'm not saying Shay Frills Productions is a bad guy. That's not the point of this. The point is, if you're going to speak about this as a white person, you need that second person, because if you don't have a second person who is a person of color, just like Doug, things are just going to get very, very messy. And I'm gonna say this. When I made my video talking about Trolls World Tour and its themes and subject matter, listen, I'm a person of color, I am mixed, but I am not a spokesperson for mixed people and people of color. I'm not. That was one perspective, okay? Someone different from me who is a person of color may say how Trolls World Tour handled it was bad. That person needs to speak. That person needs to speak up right now, instead of Shay Frills Productions. Because the moment you do that, you're pretty much saying, hi, I'm a white person, I'm a spokesperson for black people. And it's like, no, you can't speak for us. You can't say what's good and not good for us. And that's why I was very upset that Shay Frills Productions has a whole entire editing team. Again, I don't know if there are, any people of color on that production team, but I'm very upset that no one looked at that and said, Shay, you need to get another person's perspective, or you need to go edit, do something, talk about it more, do something. Because it's just not good at all. And I don't know, man, like, it's just, it hurts me, because it's like, this happens way far too often. And it's like, people of color need to talk about these things. We can't just let people just kind of say it's bad when, like, it's not their position to speak on it. So I will say this, the Steven Universe fandom, they have a fair share of Steven Universe's garbage and here's why videos. So for me, in terms of a fan of Steven, I've only watched the first season, the movie, and all of Future. So I'm kind of missing a lot of content. So I can't really go on a full tangent as I can with something like Trolls. Luckily, this is just a PSA video. But when I watched it, I was really, really, really happy. Both Trolls and Pearl in this PSA, both of them were talking about the same thing, but presented differently. And I was like, this is amazing. Thank you, both Trolls and Steven. Thank you. This means the absolute world to me that you're talking about this. Thank you. From my Twitter timeline, it seems like a lot of people are kind of misunderstanding the point of the PSA and using a Steven Universe character. People are more so looking at it as the Steven Universe character and hyping up the Steven Universe part, but aren't really exactly hyping up what said Steven Universe character is educating the viewer on. And that just hurts me. It's something, you know? It's like, we need more people of color's voices to definitely speak about, you know, a Steven Universe character or Barbie talking about these things. You know, we need those perspectives to definitely help those people who are definitely looking at this content and not the best of lenses. I think we definitely kind of need to, you know, help them and kind of show them, you know, kind of the perspective of where we're coming from. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about the Steven portion. But I do hope that whoever's watching this, hello, I hope that you understand my frustration when it comes down to these things. One thing I will say before I go, the whole Schaefer-less bit, that wasn't an attack, that was just kinda me noticing something that was a glaring issue. So I hope no one takes that, even Shay, I hope you don't take that as an attack. It's just somewhere to, you know, improve and get better at. Yeah, I'm Speed Force Spectre, and I am signing out. I swear the next video will not be like this.